Hello my friends, I'm Kayla, and today it's the final quarterly update of the year. I always say it feels silly doing this, but I have to complete the fourth quarter, you know? We're wrapping up the year, but I'm still wrapping up the quarter, and I need to tell you my stats and just put it all out there, and then my favorites. I usually do 5 favorites. I read a total of 66 books in the last 3 months. In October, hold on, I read 20. In November, I read 20. And in December, I read 26. So those are all, that's me holding the books. The pages read are 19,172, which is about 208 pages a day, which sounds pretty accurate to me. My average rating for the quarter is the most devastating part. It was a 3.1, which is just not good. And I thought it would be higher. I thought I'd read like I know I've read a lot of 4 stars, but yeah, my average rating was pretty down. In total, oh yeah, I read 3 5 stars. I wrote it down. 3 5 stars, 27 4 stars, 24 3 stars, 9 2 stars, and 2 1-star book. 2 1-star books. That's what's happening here. What else is on this graphic that I made? Where the books came from, this is the least I've read off of my own TBR shelf because I was doing a lot of, you know, I do a lot of experimental things, I guess, at the end of the year, or like reading things that are chosen for me. So I bought 40 of the books that I read, like brand new, bought 40 books in the last 3 months to read specifically for videos. I read 9 books off of my TBR. I borrowed and read 7 books from the library. I reread 2 books. I don't remember what those were in this moment. And I read 8 books exclusively online. Those were audiobooks, but it's like weird to explain it like I read 8 audiobooks because I did consume more audiobooks in a different kind of category. You can see where it says physical, mix, and audiobook. I actually consumed 13 audiobooks total, but I still own or had out from the library the other audiobooks. Oh my God, does that make sense? I physically read 36 of them, and for 17, I did a mix. So I'll read like the first chapter on audio, next chapter physically, blah, 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 blah. Then for genres, the highest one is horror at 18, which makes sense because this is October, November, and December. And a lot of horror happens for me in October. I read 14 fantasy. I feel like this is all pretty typical. 8 romance, maybe that's a little atypical. Should not have read that many romance. 6 fiction books, 5 mystery or thriller books, 3 anthologies, 3 nonfiction, 3 historical. That's what I was up to. And then 42 of the authors, that one that's just split into 2. 42 are ones that were brand new to me, and 24 were ones that I'd read from before. So majority ones that I had never experienced and I was finding for the first time, which makes sense with the content that we talked about. In fact, let's get into the content. Here's all the books, well, most of the books that I read. I thought I had to pan over. There's no more over there. I wrote all this out and set this up yesterday because I was planning on filming, and then the sun disappeared. And it's still not back today, but the show must go on. Okay, the most books that I read for a video is back here. For the Goodreads video, I read 15 things because there were 15 categories in the Goodreads Choice Awards. And my favorites from here, I did give a lot of 4 stars, but my 4.5s were to All in Her Head by Elizabeth Coleman, MD, and James by Percival Everett. And then my 5 stars were The Lion Women of Tehran and Sky Full of Elephants by Sibo Campbell. Then this was technically 2 videos, but I read a whole bunch for my like reading short horror books, trying to find new favorite horror books. I got so much recommended to me. And did I end up with a 5 here? I sure didn't. But Pocket Knife Kitty by Shannon Riley was a 4.25. And there's gotta be something else good in here. Hold on. Hold on. Oh, at the bottom. Rest Stop by Nat Cassidy was also a 4.25, let's call it. My last video of the year was reading for the aesthetic. Basically, I wanted to fill out my graphics perfectly and have certain colors that I was representing, and I did that. And my favorite from here, I didn't have anything above a 4, so it doesn't get highlighted. Okay, I did a video where I was reading books from 2014, the Goodreads Choice Awards from 2014, and none of those were above a 4. I did a video, hold on. I did a video where I was reading books from 2016 2006. It was the last episode, was it 2006? Where I was trying to find a 5-star from every year I've been alive. And it obviously ended with a 5-star, but none of these were a 5-star. What was it? Everyone pause, I'm missing a book. Wow, Kayla's unprepared for a quarterly update. We're all shocked and surprised. The 13th Tale by Diane Setterfield was the unexpected 5-star of the video, but these were all good. They were good. I also did a video where I read werewolf books. I read a couple more than this, and none of them were 5 stars. Should I cancel that series of reading creaturey things? Okay, I read 2 books in, what video was this? Oh, trying to complete my reading challenge, the buzzword reading challenge, in as few amount of books as possible. And technically I read a 3rd one, but it was a cookbook, so I'm not counting it towards my read books of the year. And nothing was 5 stars, so. Then I read 2 books for this Dress to Impress video where it chose my TBR, and this was a 4.5. It's Elementary by Elise Bryant. And then finally, a stack of books that I read, I want to say just for me, but I still made content out of most of it. So I was rereading all of the Raven Boys with my channel members, and we had a live show that was really fun. I read, this was in this quarter? Okay, this was a September pick for the Literally Dead book club, but I didn't read it until October because the live show wasn't until October. God of the Woods by Liz Moore, and this was also a 4 point something. Did I land on an official number? I don't know. I read An Academy for Liars by Alexis Henderson for my book club. I read Yours for the Taking for my members book club. Really liked that. I read Never Have I Ever by Isabel Yap for a members pick. And then the only 2 books that I read entirely for myself in this season was my reread of Throne of the Fallen, which went very well, and I read Throne of Secrets, a new release, just on my own time. This was still for the Smut of the Month club that I have with my members on Discord, so I didn't read anything that I didn't turn into content. What? I get that that's my job, but like, it feels so strange. And now I'll tell you about my favorites of the season. In case you don't watch any of my other wrap-ups or vlogs, you only check in for my quarterly stuff. I'll just quickly run through actually everything I gave above a 4 because there's not that many of them. The God of the Woods by Liz Moore is a literary mystery, very literary, slow, in the minds of people, a lot of like drama between all of these characters, and you're in a couple different timelines. It talks a lot about women and being controlled by people and not having full autonomy. We have a woman in the past who had a child and her struggle with that, her treatment, and then we have a later timeline where a child has gone missing from their family home, and then we have an even later timeline where the sibling of that child has also gone missing, and that's the story we're more actively in and following like camp counselors and stuff from the camp that she went missing from. It's not like shocking, oh my god, plot twist craziness. It was just really interesting. I was fascinated. I love the writing. Another favorite mystery of the season, It's Elementary, is about this woman who is joining the PTA. She witnesses someone else, like the president of the PTA, dragging what looks like a body out of the school. And she wants to solve the mystery of someone who's gone missing. She thinks it's all connected, while she's also just navigating like motherhood and friendship and being a single mom and her job and so much going on. The 13th Tale by Diane Setterfield is about a woman who gets invited to write the true life story of this author. I want to call her like a reclusive author because that's the vibes of the book, but she's not. She gives stories all the time. She tells people her life story, but she's like always lying. And she says, this is finally going to be the time that I tell you the truth. And she's invited this specific kind of biographer to do it. And there's a reason why she's the perfect person to do it. And she basically tells this story of decades ago and her childhood, how she grew up in this manner and everything that went down. That's all you need to know going into it. It's very interesting. Rest Stop by Nat Cassidy is about this guy who's driving and he stops at a gas station, a rest stop, and he gets trapped in the bathroom and is tormented by somebody or something. And it was a stupid, gross time. Pocket Knife Kitty by Shannon Riley is about body rot and sexual exploits and this woman in this small town who sleeps with someone and then like grossness occurs. We've got All in Her Head by Elizabeth Coleman, and this is a history of early medicine, the things that taught us about women's bodies and why it matters today, things that have been misdiagnosed and fraudulent medical studies, and just like all the different parts of our bodies and how they've been understood in history, and how women haven't gotten the same attention as men in the medical field in health. And there are so many things that were invented that they only take a man's, like, as an example, and then they try to apply it to a woman without like really delving into what makes us unique and how things go wrong in that regard. James by Percival Everett is a retelling or a reimagining of Huckleberry Finn, and we follow Jim, or James, the enslaved man in the story, and just his life and the way he takes control and finds control and freedom. We get into family dynamics and his personality and just this life journey, and it was a really good time. Then A Sky Full of Elephants by Sibyl Campbell is this future imagining where something occurs and all of the white people die on the planet, and how it impacts everyone else who has been oppressed, who has been experiencing poor treatment, and what they do after, and the life that they create in the communities that they build, and also like finding out what happened and how this occurred. And we're mainly following this man and a daughter that he has never met and their relationship dynamics. And then The Lion Woman of Tehran is about these two young girls. We start in their childhood and we go through many years of their life, jumping timelines to see how they are engaging throughout their adolescence and their adulthood. They break apart for a certain reason and come back together for a certain reason. They experience really difficult things and they find support and community, but it's also just like a very tense kind of relationship as they want different things and they care differently about how people are viewing them and their friendship. And it was just very well written and a total 5 stars. So those are all of my favorites. If you want to take any of those recommendations, I guess that's the point of the quarterly update, to remind you what I loved in case you wanted one of them on your radar. Because I read 66 things and there was only really 10 standouts, maybe it's hard to remember what my favorites were, and it's good to remind myself that I am reading good things. My average rating was bad, and my average rating for the year is also bad, but there are good books. And especially yesterday, I was pulling everything off my shelves that I've read to get ready for my Everything I've Read This Year video, and I realized like there's such a big stack of 4 and 5 stars, and I need to remind myself that I had wins this year. I definitely did. So that's it for my final quarterly update. Thank you so much for watching. I don't know if I'm gonna do these the same next year. I have some things to think about. If there's any way that you would want them done differently, or give any feedback, I always love your feedback. I think you know that. I run my things here based on what you want to see and learn about. So I will see you tomorrow with something else.